But first up, let's talk about the rice exporters. Premium Indian Basmati rice exports have jumped as demand has improved from key buyers like Middle East. Export prices have jumped to $1,450 per ton from $1,160 per ton. Ashish Jain, the Chief Financial Officer at KRBL, now joins us on the show now. Ashish, morning. Thanks so much for joining in. Could you give us an indication of the export prices versus, say, 6 months ago, the export volumes that KRBL is seeing versus 6 months ago, and how much does exports contribute to your overall revenue pie?
Sure. So, as you mentioned correctly, the prices have been up. And, this has been a mix of various factors that have been in play. One, as you know, India is the largest exporter of rice. And the Indian rice crop this year is about 4 to 6% less than last year. So that's been one key factor which is driving overall prices. And like you mentioned, the demand has been up. We believe this is driven by concerns of various countries on the food sustainability front. So we see customers stocking up, unlike what we used to see earlier. And then there have been pockets of lower production, especially in Basmati, where Pakistan had a flood situation, and therefore there are concerns around the output that that country may produce. So essentially, these two supply-led factors are, coupled with strong demand, are leading to the prices being up. Now, when I look at the country's exports as a whole, and if you look at the 7-month period starting April 22, so there the overall exports are up. If I look at Basmati exports, that's about 11% up in the April to October period for the country as a whole. Non-Basmati exports are also up by 6% in volume terms, while if you look at it in value terms, the increase is even higher, and largely because of the higher prices that we've seen. From a KRBL point of view, we've seen our first half led by a strong export performance as our key countries such as Saudi have come back in terms of demand as we corrected the issues there. So overall, a strong first half from a export point of view. The other side, which is domestic, also continues to be strong. Now, in terms of the overall share of exports, so last year, the domestic sales accounted for about 55% of our revenue. But if you look at the longer term trend, both domestic and export have an equal contribution to revenue.
Okay, so what does this mean for your numbers? Your export revenues in the first half were about 1,000 crores or so. That was a very strong growth of almost 36%. What can you do in the second half?
Yeah, so we continue to be positive. Difficult to give an exact number, but we're seeing the demand trends holding up, both in volume terms and the prices. While it's again difficult to put a finger on it, but we see the prices holding up as well over at least the next 3 months or so. So we continue to be positive on the export side.
Okay, continue to be positive on the exports. Can you tell us then what exports for the full year could look like?
Sorry, we don't give quantitative guidance, but we are looking at a strong performance in the current year.
Has the demand from Middle East, which has surged and spiked in the last couple of weeks, got to do with the World Cup? And is that something which will reverse then?
No, we don't think so. I think that's a one-off event. Doesn't usually sway the demand for agri-commodities. However, Middle East, as you know, is the largest destination for rice exports from here. And we've seen the demand continuing to be strong there on an overall basis. I don't think the World Cup has driven it in any way.
Okay. Can you tell us how, last time you had mentioned that one of your plants was going to commence operation by December. Can you give us an update on that, and what kind of capacity are you looking at, say, a couple of years down the line?
Yeah, so, we had mentioned that there's a plant which we're setting up in Anjar in Gujarat, so that we are expecting for it to go live by April of next year, which is April 2023. So that's on track in terms of the timelines that we had mentioned. Now, that's not a very large capacity. However, the logic of setting up that plant was to, to reduce the logistics cost, because that plant allows us to ship rice from the growing regions directly to a location which is close to the port. So that sort of gives us savings on the logistics front, but not a very large capacity there.
Okay, so what kind of savings are you looking at? And you had also mentioned that there is a land acquisition as well that you're looking at for this new plant. How is that coming along?
Yeah. So, we're setting up 3 plants. The one that I mentioned is one of them. There are other two. One is in Karnataka, where we are exclusively going to focus on the non-Basmati space. So there the land has been acquired and the other formalities are underway right now. The third area that we're looking at is MP, which is again a Basmati growing region and a sort of a strategic area. There we are in the process of identifying land, etc. So these 3 locations, which is Gujarat, Karnataka, and MP, are areas that we are looking at right now.
Okay, so for these 3 plans, could you take us through the kind of capex that you're looking at, and also if you can provide any kind of timeline as to when we can see, growth out of these plans?
Sure. Yeah, so overall capex that we have planned for these 3 locations, about 250 crores, all going to be funded through internal accruals. Now, in terms of incremental revenue that these might bring in, it's about in the range of 400 to 500 crores in the initial stages. In terms of timelines, like I mentioned, the first one is Gujarat. We expect to go live by April 2023. The second plant, which is in Karnataka, is going to go live in FY24, while the third one in MP, the timeline expected is FY25.
Okay. So once these 3 plants come on stream, by how much would your production be ramped up versus today?
Yeah, probably simpler to look at in terms of revenue terms. So we expect that once these 3 plants go live, we can look at incremental revenue about 400 to 500 crores coming in from these 3 plants.
And what are domestic prices? Export prices are $1,450 per ton. What about domestic?
So, difficult to comment on average prices because we sell various SKUs, but what I can confirm is that prices have been up on the domestic market as well, which is reflective of the overall rice prices globally.
Okay, thanks a lot for joining in and giving us a quick update. That's KRBL saying that the demand is holding up both in terms of volumes and prices. They're expecting a very strong export performance this year, and their plant in Gujarat will